Hello everyone, this is Dr. Ilyas from the Department of Education, Hazara University. Viva is a very important part of most research degrees, research studies, and especially it is very significant at the highest level of research degrees such as the PhDs. Viva is, one of my friend would call it YY, and he would jokingly and in a lighter mood call it why because we came to know towards the end of our PhD study that most of the questions that the examiners ask during Viva are actually why questions. So I would like to reiterate his stance in this particular presentation, and I would like to emphasize that Viva is actually a process of establishing the knowledge of the researcher regarding the why of the research process and the research product. So let's see and actually categorize this why into a number of subcategories related to the different parts of the research thesis and the research process to see how the why question is very important in the Viva process. And so if the researchers or the PhD students or even the MPhil students know their answers to the why of their research process, it helps in their defense of the PhD thesis or of thesis of any kind. So let's move and see the why. Here I have categorized into this why into these five subcategories, the why of the topic. So why is it the examiners will ask you why is it that you have actually selected this particular topic for exploration at this particular PhD level or MPhil level. In other words, what are the objectives and what is the rationale and significance of your study? Why was it important that you had to actually come up with these particular objectives to explore, and so rationalize your choice of selecting this particular topic. This is something that is quite important, and research students must know the why of their selection of their particular topics. The second why then is can come in the form of questions related to the literature review or the background of the study. This actually means why, like in our literature review at any research degree level, there are choices. So you have to make choices regarding what authors and what type of works you are including in your thesis, and what in giving background to your thesis, and what are the some of the authors and what works are there that you would exclude, keeping in view the focus of your particular research topic. But you have to justify this as well, because the examiners in many cases may be very well read, and they are actually in many cases more knowledgeable than the PhD students. So they might know certain authors and certain theories and certain research published work that the PhD student might not know. But so the PhD student or the research student actually have to justify whatever research theories and authors they have included in their literature review. And so there comes the why of the literature review as well. Then comes the most important, perhaps the most important why, is the why of the methodology or the why of the research design. So why is it that the researcher has adopted a particular research design and not another research design? Why is it that you have adopted, let's say, qualitative research design, and I am particularly thinking in terms of social science research, not in natural science research. Why have you not, or why have you selected quantitative research design why have you selected um, a combination of research designs, and why particular samples that you have adopted or selected, why particular analytical frameworks or analysis procedures, um, and questions like that. So here the questions will be questions of methodology, um, questions related to methodology, or the why or the rationale behind your methodological choices is something that will be very that might be asked, and that will be asked actually. And so for your PhD or for your research Viva, for your thesis Viva, methodological choices, your knowledge related to methodological choices is very important. And so you must give authentic answers in response to questions related to your methodological choices. Then comes the why of the findings and conclusions and recommendations. So why is it that you have come up with particular findings? What processes were followed? Were those processes authentic? Why is it that you are concluding in a particular way? Why is it that you are giving particular recommendations? So there is the justification and rationale of your recommendations as well. Similarly, justification of your conclusions based on your findings. In many cases, research students often fail to actually justify their conclusions and or to relate their conclusions to their findings. And so that should be research students should be careful in order to base their conclusions and recommendations strictly on their findings. In many cases, research students come up with conclusions in a more general way rather than focusing and basing those conclusions and recommendations on their findings. So this is because the research process is a very specific process, and it's a process of scientific discovery of actually knowledge and theories. So your conclusions and recommendations should be strictly based on the findings of your research, and you have to again answer this question of why these conclusions, why these recommendations, and so there should be justification for them as well. Then comes the very interesting question is why do you think, in many cases examiner will ask you, why do you think that your work in terms of quality and quantity is significant enough that it has done this particular contribution to knowledge? And one very important question is that why do you think that you should be awarded your MPhil or PhD degree or your research degree? Have you done enough? Have you explored adequately? Have you followed all the protocols of the scientific process and methodology? And do you think you deserve to be given this this award or this degree? So the why of the award of the degree itself might be one of the questions that examiners might ask. So overall, we can see that Viva is actually a process of why, which is like, so why you did this, why you selected this particular topic, why you included these particular topics in your literature or these particular authors in your literature. Why did you adopt this particular methodology, and why not some other methodology? Why particular sampling frameworks or sampling procedures? Why particular data collection and analysis procedures and not others? And similarly, why these conclusions and recommendations? And the biggest why of all is actually the why of your award of degree. And so all of these are very important questions. There might be other questions as well in the Viva, and there are many other questions, but the why questions or the why or the rationale of whatever you have done during the whole research process is quite important. So I hope this has clarified some of the and have identified some of the important aspects of the Viva process. If you have other questions in your mind, please don't shy away from asking those questions in the comment section. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye.